Roadhog Rework details his primary fire is being changed and he's getting a new ability. And also, Aaron Keller, the game's director, speaks about changes coming to the Battle Pass and to the shop and gives us a bit of a tease as to what we're going to see at BlizzCon this year. There is loads of information here. He also goes into detail on the current balance of the game. So let's break all of this down. It is a super intriguing blog post. This is the director's take looking ahead into Season 7 and BlizzCon. Aaron Keller, the game director, gives his latest to the current Season 7 balance and looks ahead to Season 7 and beyond. Hi everyone, we've had guest writers for the last two director takes, but I'm back this week looking at Season 7, how it started, how it's going, and what we can look forward to as it progresses. This season marked the release of our latest Sombra rework. The hero keeps the same hacker fantasy that she's always had, but her playstyle is more active and engaged than it previously was. She also received a new ability, Virus. We've seen a lot of different takes on the rework and her new kit online, from dramatically overpowered to dramatically underpowered. But when you look at the data, she's trending in a great direction. Sombra's win rate quickly jumped 4 to 5%, with it being slightly higher at lower tiers, bottoming out in Masters and above at 46 to 47%. People are also still playing her quite a bit. Something we've always observed with reworks or hero releases is a big spike and then folks go back to their mains. Sombra looks stickier initially and hasn't been following the same drop-off. Perhaps she's become a new main for players. We're mostly happy with where she's at as players get accustomed to her, but we're looking at the effectiveness of EMP and the frequency of her cooldowns. So I'm not qualified to comment on Sombra. I can give you my very basic opinion of what I think the hero feels like right now, and I think she's really strong in certain situations, but she's got some glaring weaknesses. Like, you can 1v1 people with Sombra, so long as it's not a support and definitely not a tank, but you can 1v1 DPS. If a target isn't receiving healing, you can hit them with Virus, or if you do hit them with Virus, you've got the damage over time effect, which multiplies, well, it increases if the target's hacked, right? It does the damage faster. You think you do 20 impact damage, don't you, instead of 10? I might have got the figures kind of wrong. But she seems okay 1v1 in that scenario. But apart from that, she seems to have lost a lot of her utility. While I still agree that, yeah, she's got the hacker fantasy because, yeah, you do hack targets and stuff, she still feels really weak. But anyway, look at what Fitzy says. Forget what I say. Fitzy is absolutely one of the best Sombra players there is. And this is what he says. 40 hours and 50% win rate with Sombra. Now, obviously, this is a GM1 player, top 500. Number one, he says, Kiriko makes it super unfun. This is because of Suzu. Yeah, not great. Also, Kiriko's healing is pretty strong as well, but Kiriko can just remove your virus off targets and also obviously makes targets invulnerable, and there's a whole host of issues. But I think that extends to supports as well. Number two, spawn killing is super good. Yeah, I mean, you're invis. If you hit a target with virus as you come, or you hack them, hit them with virus, they've got very little time to react. And if that's a Zen, it's always a Zen is a classic target moving back to the fight. You can take him out, but it's not just about Zen, it's about any kind of DPS. If you can catch them, you generally will beat them in a 1v1 if they've got no support from their team. If they've got support from their team, it's a completely different ballgame. Because you've got to remember, Sombra can't just disengage now. She has to throw a translocator and hope that you don't carry on shooting at her. And a lot of the time you do. I've personally found it quite easy to deal with Sombra. Although I've been playing mainly tank this season. Anyway, number three, 1v1 any DPS. Just don't 1v1 supports. 4, EMP is terrible. Just use it to solo kill. Number 5, Sombra 76 is okay if both teams have Sigma. Otherwise, off angle, harass the backline. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know whether this is up in the air. I don't know. I'll put words into people's mouth here, but I think this rework has kind of been seen as it's not great for people who were diehard Sombra mains. They probably prefer the old Sombra. And is this enough to bring people over to the Sombra camp? I don't know. It's just a weird one. It's a really weird sort of middle of the road rework, but it's got its strengths and it's got its weaknesses. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Obviously, though, it looks like the game director is happy with the direction things are going. Right, let's talk about Roadhog. So, bad news to begin with. The rework isn't coming out mid-season. It was meant to, but it's not anymore, and this is confirmed by Aaron. But he actually gives us some details here. So he says, we're going to be releasing an update to Roadhog this season, including a reworked primary fire, changes to take a breather, and adding an all-new ability. Based on quite a few last-minute tweaks to the kit, he won't make our mid-season patch, but instead will be coming later in the season. So the critical information here we've got is a reworked primary fire. What could that look like? Also, we've got changes to take a breather. Well, we've seen changes to take a breather in the past. If you guys remember the very old experimental patch back in Overwatch 1 days, or the experimental card, Roadhog, they tried to make him more tanky, and what they did is whenever he used take a breather, he'd heal people around him. He had this like big green circle around him. Maybe they do something like that. I don't know. Maybe they just change the effect of it altogether. You know, I don't know. Maybe it releases a cloud which absorbs damage. I just don't know. But it's good to have this information sort of out there. So we know primary fire is getting changed. We know take a breather's being changed, and then he's getting an all-new ability. And this is where you can kind of go crazy with speculation, because it's like, what would this all-new ability look like? Could this be a tank ability or a DPS ability? Is Roadhog still going to be a tank? Are they going to move him to DPS? Who knows, right? A lot of this is up in the air. Tank abilities for Roadhog, maybe there could be some sort of thing which is like a AoE hook. I don't know. Maybe that would be broken. Who knows? Actually, talking of hook, there's no mention of hook here. So is hook still an ability he's got? You would imagine so, because that's sort of part of the fantasy of Roadhog. You know, he is about hooking enemies, so I can't see them removing that. But you guys let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Roadhog rework details. It's interesting that some of it is starting to come out. So now he goes to talk about balance in Season 7. And this is what he says. We're happy with the overall state of balance in Season 7. But let's get into a little more detail based off our stats and community feedback. We've seen a lot of talk around supports and their rising power level in the meta. We're making a series of changes to many of the support heroes in the game for the mid-season patch, with the intent of targeting their utility and opening up windows of vulnerability. We want to be careful here in order to avoid some of the feelings of helplessness that supports had at launch, but we want to lower some of the overall sustain and survivability that's present in the game currently. We're also seeing a lot of talk around Orisa, Zarya, and Bastion. From a stats perspective, Orisa isn't one of our top performing tanks. That spot goes to Reinhardt at lower skill tiers and Sigma at the high end. This could be one of those cases where she feels frustrating to play against, but isn't giving that same value to her team. We made a small tweak to her at the start of Season 7, and we're currently in a wait and see with her. We're also planning a slight nerf to Bastion's assault form for the mid-season patch. The mid-season balance patch will include the changes to support and quite a few others, and will be roughly comparable in size to the balance patch at the start of Season 7. We'll be able to go into more detail in the next few weeks as we get closer to release. So I think the main thing here is supports are being nerfed in some way globally to make them easier to kill, to give them windows of vulnerability, as he says, to allow players to actually attack them. Now, supports have got look at the worst defenders right now. Look at Batiste, right? He is literally unkillable. This is a character with, you could essentially say he's got 3 different health pools. He's got his regenerative field, which is incredibly powerful. He's got his actual health, and then he's got his drone. It's like he drops lamp and he doesn't die. You have to shoot the drone. It's just, and also the damage he's putting out is incredible, and his healing is incredible. And this is kind of what you see across most of the support heroes. Look at Anna. She's always been a great hero, Anna, but anti-nade, incredible ability. We could just go on and on and talk about this, but supports are too survivable and have got too many options, and they are the most powerful role in the game at the moment by far. In fact, I would say DPS is like the least influential, and then tank. But support is definitely what decides games in Overwatch. So interesting that they're looking at that. But a good nod back to the state of the game when it launched, because supports were just getting hammered. You remember supports were just very vulnerable. They were very isolated in the back lines. Loads of flankers. You had Genjis, you had Tracers just going in on you. Sojourn was just deleting you from across the map. It was very difficult. It's like things have swung in the other direction now. So again, it'll be really interesting to see what they do with this. Now, the other thing to note from this is the tank changes. So Orisa, so the problem with, I don't feel like Zarya is totally overbearing at the moment. Bastion and Orisa, on the other hand, I definitely do. Now, the thing with Orisa is when she uses Fortify, she does not die. She will not die. when she spins a spear, she will not die. But when she's not doing either of those, you can focus fire her down and kill her. Hilariously, she doesn't really offer much in the way of team protection as a tank, but she's a big unit, and when she's got Fortify, she's up in your face. She does do a surprising amount of damage as well. She can sort of, I don't want to say dictate the flow of fights, but she can be very effective against certain team comps, you know. But if you play around her cooldowns, you can actually sort of outplay her. I do agree with Sigma being seen more towards the higher end. He's just got a lot of tools, Sigma. It's always been the way with him. You know, you've got your barrier, you've got nice sort of medium range, short medium range damage, AoE. You've got a suck, which is fantastic. You can use that, cycling it in with your barrier. Your ultimate's very good as well. You know, you're not easy to kill as Sigma. It's got a lot of pros, but it's more difficult to play than an Orisa. But the Bastion problem is still an issue that we've had for a while. And when you go against a team that's just rolling Bastion, there's the Mercy in a Bastion, and like, it doesn't really matter what the tank is, that Bastion is going to annihilate you. But the problem is, the only way to counter that Bastion was to play Orisa. You could play Sigma as an outside sort of shout, but you had to play Orisa most of the times because Fortify and Spear Spin were the only thing you could do to really negate the damage when he's in his assault form, just absolutely piling the damage into you. And if he was damage boosted, it was even more ridiculous. So I think that's where a lot of Orisa came from. But again, it's interesting that they have, you know, he has addressed here and spoken about all of the major balance concerns at the moment in the game, which is a fantastic sign. So good stuff. We want to see what they do here, and could be some nice changes. Then he goes on to talk about Halloween Terror, and this is what he says. Halloween Terror has always been the most popular event in Overwatch. This year was no exception. We released a totally new game mode in Season 7 with Trials of Sanctuary. It's one of the first times we've given players the ability to gain power as well as new abilities over the course of the game. We love the mode, and it looks like players do too. On the first day of the season, over 35% of all player hours were spent in our Halloween modes. We're talking about what an expanded version of this mode could look like, a way to get even more progression and player choice. Yeah, I mean, you cannot deny when you play that mode, Trials of Sanctuary, you get shades of what Overwatch 2 PvE could have been. I mean, so I've played through as Reinhardt and I've played through as Pharah. I really like the upgrades Pharah gets with the like mini rockets. The concussion blast causes like your rockets to home onto targets and they take extra damage. Your jets leave like fire behind when you jump in the air. It's just really cool. And I am honestly super pissed that we don't get to experience that as a core part of this game. And I think that probably will go down in history as one of the biggest failings we've seen with this game. They just couldn't deliver the PvE. But I do think that mode is genuinely fun. It is by far the best co-op mode they've had so far. I mean, I think it's better than the actual PvE story missions as well. The only thing that might give them an edge is they've got nice cutscenes. But apart from that, the gameplay is trash in those. It's much more interesting in this Trials of Sanctuary mode because we get to see the sort of leftover remnants of what could have been in PvE. And this is something that might happen as well going forward into the future, where they start using all these bits and pieces they've made for PvE, but actually couldn't make work in a fully fledged mode. And we just see them sort of plugged into these limited time modes as they come around, which honestly, I'm totally fine with. Okay, let's talk about K-pop. I know nothing about K-pop, so I am not qualified to talk about K-pop at all, but we're going to do it anyway. So he says this: Halloween isn't our only event this season. We have several more exciting moments coming in October and November. We've just announced our collab with Le Seraphim yesterday, and I can't wait to share more. We can't go into details for now, but it's something the team is really excited about. I can give a glimpse into what's coming after though. It's BlizzCon. We'll be revealing our next hero at the event, plus a whole lot more of what's coming this year and next. Also, we've heard from players that they want to see us take a look at our competitive systems as well as our battle pass. These are two of the top priorities for the Overwatch team. We will be detailing the direction of our reworked competitive mode at BlizzCon. However, we'll be talking about a new take on our battle pass and shop changes a little later, most likely early next year. So the K-pop stuff, this is going to be an in-game limited time event. There's going to be legendary skins attached to this, and I think there might even be an in-game performance in some description. Really cool. I think Overwatch works really well for K-pop and stuff like that. So I think this is great. Good stuff. Love it. Good job, Overwatch. Also, it's nice to have like this type of collaboration. A lot of other games out there have had all the, their musical collaborations, let's say, and it's about time Overwatch got one. So yeah, it's kind of wild going from One Punch Man to this, I guess. But hey, I think it's cool. Good stuff. Now, the big thing here is, yeah, okay, the next hero is at BlizzCon. I think most people knew that was the case, so that's not really a shock, but there is confirmation of that being the case. Of course, we believe this to be Malga, given the Samoa map and all of the teasers on that map. His absolutely massive shirt, which is just incredibly massive. So is this character going to be absolutely huge? Probably. But then he says about the Battle Pass, and they will have a new take on the Battle Pass and the shop. But most likely we'll learn about this next year. Also, he did speak about the changes to the competitive mode, which will be good to see, because I think comp is kind of, it's not really competitive, is it? Like, you just play comp because it's slightly more organized than quick play, but the rewards are not great, so you don't really care. So I'd expect to see information on new rewards, information on a new ranking system, and loads of changes like that, which will be cool. Anyway, let's talk about the Battle Pass, because Battle Pass and shop changes, a new take on it. Remember, this is the Blizzard that is now owned by Microsoft, and Halo Infinite has a Battle Pass, which you can complete at any time. It isn't time restricted. Now, what I would like to see is this new take on the Battle Pass becomes Blizzard starting to innovate on the Battle Pass, not copying what other companies have done, but do copy what other companies have done if they happen to be owned by your company as well. Hello, Halo, being owned by Microsoft. If they make sense. I would love to be able to go back and complete the Season 2 Battle Pass, right? I haven't completed that one. It would be nice to do it. I mean, there's going to be loads of people out there who would have battle passes they haven't completed. This would also give you a reason to play Overwatch as well. So it would increase the monthly active users, which we know they love that statistic. Basically increase the amount of time you're playing the game, because you might think, okay, I've completed this season's battle pass. You know what? I'm going to start working on season 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever battle passes you haven't completed. That would be great. So that would be a good start if they did that. It would also be a good start if they added premium currency into the battle pass. I don't like battle passes, right? I don't think they're great. But I don't like the Overwatch battle pass because it's the worst of a bad bunch, because there's no innovation. It's just copying systems that have worked in other games for maximum monetization. We don't want that. We want an experience, yeah? We want to, I think they need to lay groundwork. I think they need to start winning goodwill, player goodwill back, that is. And I think those two changes I've outlined would be a good first sort of stepping stone. Again, we'll have to wait and see. As for the shop, who knows what the changes will be there. Price decreases, I don't know. Okay, now we get some spice. So, this is about the controversy with the Lilith Moira skin and the Ultimate Battle Pass bundle, and I guess the Inarius Farah skin as well. Speaking of our shop, there was a bit of controversy at the start of the season with the placement of our latest Moira skin in the Ultimate Battle Pass bundle. Some players felt like it was the best skin of the season. I'll correct you there. Every player knows it's the best skin of the season. And we were upset, were upset that the only way to obtain the skin was to purchase one of our highest priced bundles. We do sell an Ultimate Battle Pass bundle every season with legendary skins in it, and will continue to do so. However, the lesson we're taking away from this moment is to make sure that we provide more ways to acquire some of our most popular skins. Okay. That's a PR response if ever there was one. Now, that's okay, to be honest. At least he's addressing the issue. It's been a widely discussed thing about the game, especially this season. And like the bundle itself comprised of certain items. You cannot buy these items individually. They are in the bundle. You cannot use premium currency to buy them. They are in the bundle, and the bundle costs real world money. That's the problem. If you could buy all of these items individually, I think people would be, okay, that's fine. If the Ultimate Battle Pass was considerably cheaper than buying all the items individually, I think people may be sort of more receptive to that. The problem we've got is the Ultimate Battle Pass bundle is very specifically designed to generate as much money as possible through locking the best skins of the season inside it that you cannot buy with premium currency. You have to use real world money. So that's a way of Blizzard extracting money out of the customer base instead of allowing the customers who may have premium currency left over from other, maybe they earned the currency in the game, or they've just got premium currency left over. They cannot use that to buy the skins. That is a travesty. And this response, why I think it's garbage, is this response should say, we are making the Lilith skin available for purchase on its own. Same for the Inarius skin for currency. That's all they need to say. That's all they need to do. But clearly, they're not going to do that because all the marketing drive and the marketing effort is on the Lilith skin, is on the Trials of Sanctuary mode. And that, not the mode's not locked away, sorry, but like, you know, it's part of the thematic, the theme of it. The Lilith skin is the main attraction. People want the Lilith skin and people are buying the Ultimate Battle Pass because it's the only way to get the Lilith skin. So I think this is kind of a cop-out. I think it's okay that they've addressed it, but I don't think that doesn't really say anything to us as players. That's basically tough shit in a lot of ways, so not great. And then he goes on to say, that's it for the week. We'll skip our next director's take in 2 weeks since we'll be at BlizzCon. There ought to be enough Overwatch news there to keep everyone busy. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in-game. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? I mean, there's a lot of information there in that director's take. I think there is a lot to look forward to with the game. You know, as much as I can slate them for PR responses to controversies in the shop and the Battle Pass and whatever, at least they are acknowledging they are problems. I think, like for me personally, a big takeaway is that they're going to look at the Battle Pass again and they're going to innovate on that and the store. Like I said, Microsoft own the company now, and I've made an entire video on this. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, so I'm not going to completely go over that again towards the end of this video. But, you know, Microsoft, Phil Spencer has said, he doesn't want the main focus to be about just pure financial gain. He wants developers to work on passion projects and to make things that only developers can do, and especially the quality of developers that Blizzard generally attracts. He cited games like Guitar Hero. On paper, Guitar Hero sounds stupid. Who would buy a big plastic guitar and plug it into their Xbox or their PlayStation and play a rhythm game? That just no one would go for that. But until they actually did it and made it, everybody went for it, and it was a massive hit. And that's what Blizzard is lacking. It lacks the innovation. It's just doing everything safe, everything to generate money. So I'm hoping this is Aaron Keller basically saying to us, look, guys, we're under new management now. We're going to really look at our monetization, specifically our Battle Pass and our shop, and we're going to try and make changes to them. Because now we're no longer governed by this relentless need to generate as much money as possible for shareholders. Because, yes, Microsoft still wants to generate money for its shareholders, but suddenly Overwatch has gone from the biggest FPS game inside Activision. Well, it's not because Call of Duty is, isn't it? Inside Blizzard, let's say. One of their biggest money generators, let's say, to just being a small drop in the ocean of the mega Microsoft ocean. And there's a lot more leeway there. You don't have to be as aggressively chasing after every dollar bill. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening and watching the video. And also shout out to Starbucks. You know who you are. I must say, my caramel frappuccino was absolutely excellent. It was a delight, beyond delight. And yeah, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. See you soon.